on the beach. The beach was empty along its entire length. Rain fell in huge droplets and at the pace of Olympic athletes. Only Rick was in the right mood to walk along by the shore and look for debris from the hungry sea. His girlfriend of 9 years had suddenly decided that he wasn't mature enough for her, but what was worse was that she had dumped him by email. Granted, he wasn't talking to her because she'd broken his football game while cleaning the flat, but a face-to-face breakup would have been the right thing to do. Then he could have asked for his wrestling stuff back. Rick always found the sea a very good listener at times like these, although the sea would have argued that it couldn't get a word in edgeways. He told the sea how she would never let him eat crisps in bed or watch cartoons past 10, all things that his friends were allowed to do. At this, the sea just sighed, silently agreeing with Rick's girlfriend. The sea was starting to get used to these visits, as Rick would often walk to the beach for a moan. However, his main reason for doing this was not to get things off his chest. It was because he'd found a penknife lying in the sand, just waiting to be taken when he was about 15. He duly obliged. His luck hadn't been very good since he found the knife, but he was an optimist who made his own luck. He'd managed to hold on to a girlfriend for 9 years, a skill not perfected by many others his age. He was sure that today would be a fruitful one. The sea itself was currently enjoying less luck. Here, on its shores, an ignorant dropout was trying to gain free counselling. This made it want to hide, although it was also concentrating on a much more important task at the same time. A week before, 3 French fishermen had been thrown into the sea during a particularly bad storm. With them was a bottle of champagne that the men had stolen previously. They had planned to celebrate an excellent year with the bottle, which was now in possession of the sea and in danger of landing on the shore in front of this layabout who could talk a good match without touching a football. Finally, the sea could hold on no longer. Rick had stamped his feet and told the sea it wasn't fair, before triumphantly declaring the day Rick Day, all of which had beaten the high level of concentration that the sea had held for so long. The bottle of champagne flung itself onto the beach, right next to the stamping feet of the idle one. All went calm. The sea was staring at Rick. Rick was staring at the bottle. The bottle was staring at the sea, almost begging to be rescued. Rick picked the bottle up, mispronounced the label twice, and began laughing hysterically. Rick Day, he proclaimed, was now complete. He twisted the cork out of the bottle, and the cork popped straight back into the sea. The contents flowed onto Rick's hand before he put the bottle to his lips and gagged as it sprayed on the back of his throat. Once this minor setback was over, Rick drank from the bottle and started wandering drunkenly back to the flat. He wanted to keep the bottle as a reminder of his changing fortune, so he made sure that he left a little in the bottom for his return home. The sea was starting to recover from its ordeal. It was reassuring itself that one bottle would not make a big difference, and that it still had reserves of items to give to unfortunate folk. Just as the sea was having this thought, a young woman strolled along the beach with a tear in her eye. From her strained voice, the sea could make out that she had lost her parents in an accident. Thinking on its feet, the sea threw a gift to the grieving woman, which was a 1939 jewellery box full of precious rings and necklaces. The box was caught by the wind and blew straight into the side of the woman's head, knocking her unconscious. Rick Day, it seemed, was a cursed day for all. The first act of Rick's new life was turning the TV on. He had a pizza in the oven from 3 nights ago, so he turned the oven on and sat down to watch the flickering screen. Although the news was on, he knew that it would be finishing soon, and then the cartoons would begin. Loosely concentrating on the sound, Rick heard a summary of the headlines. One of these headlines caught his attention for a brief moment. A bottle of Champagne de Malchance, or Malchance as he'd read it earlier, had gone missing from a French museum. The bottle was practically priceless, as it had been stored in a dark place for over 100 years, meaning the contents would have been preserved in immaculate condition. Rick took a look at the picture on the screen before it changed to the French museum owner, and then looked down at the bottle in his hands. There it was, an immaculately kept piece of French alcoholic importance, running down his sauce-coated tracksuit. It is widely believed that Rick Day has never been formally celebrated since.